Hey, and we're back here with episode 2 of Comic Geek Speak. Once again, I'm Brian.
I'm Peter.
And today we're going to talk about some things that haven't come out yet. But first we're going to start off filling you in a little more about ourselves. Last time we told you how long we've been reading comics. Now we'll just kind of tell you where we read comics, how we got into comics maybe. My story is real simple. My best friend in 6th grade, his parents owned a 7-Eleven, and so they had comic book racks there. And so he always had lots and lots of comics. And one day I was over at his house, and he showed me this wonderful comic that is still my absolute favorite comic. It was Gru by Sergio Aragonés, and I think it was about issue 4 at that time. So it was right after the official Marvel run started. There were some Pacific issues before that, but the Marvel version from Epic imprint was issue 4. So I started reading Gru, and I slowly worked my way into some Spider-Man comics, and just went on from there. And so I was a Marvel guy. It pretty much all breaks down to what you like first read when you're a kid. I was Marvel. I know Peter is mostly DC, and but I went from there. Eventually, the more and more I got into it, I started. Bought most of my comics from a local comic shop here. We're in Reading, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour outside of Philadelphia. And there's this fantastic comic book store here called Golden Eagle Comics. That's where I ended up buying the bulk of my comic books for a long time. I ended up working there for 2.5 years. And that's kind of my story on comics. What's your deal, Peter?
Basically, I think I started out with my parents or my older sister just purchasing me a Richie Rich comic. And I have about 50 of those before my uncle gave me a box of comics that were all in a beer box. He used to get them from the farmer's market, so they would have half their covers ripped off. And so I would pour through those, and it wasn't until I can remember the first comic that I actually bought. It was Justice League of America 210. And I don't have it to this. I destroyed it. I read it so much, and I eventually got a replacement copy. And from there, I dabbled around picking up random issues here and there of different things. Marvel Team Up, Captain Carrot, and then I bought New Teen Titans number 28, and that was Wolfman and Perez. Titans were at their height, introduction of Terra, and that whole storyline, and from there my love affair began. I had a little mom and pop grocery store down the corner that I used to buy my books from, and then eventually I moved to shopping at Golden Eagle as well. Golden Eagle, some stores in Philadelphia and things like that, but primarily Golden Eagle. So from there basically was DC, and even though I was getting a lot of Marvel, and it was right before DC's great Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985, so about 2-3 years before that I started really collecting. And I think that's why my love affair for DC Comics came about, because of Crisis and all that. So that's my story.
To continue with the Golden Eagle connection, the only reason I know Peter is because I know a lot of people from Golden Eagle who also knew Peter independently, and we all got together. We have a group of friends, about, 8 people.
Which must be similar to other people who read comics.
Oh, I'm sure. But there are about 8 of us, and we get together almost every week for, we watch movies, we talk comics, we play, Trivial Pursuit, we play video games, whatever. We get together all the time. But all of us know each other through Golden Eagle. Either from me working there, I got to meet some of the customers who later became my friends, or the other employees who worked there, and then Peter never worked there, but he was a customer, so he got to know all the employees, and then got to know some of the other customers through the employees. And it just spirals out of control, and now we're just a bunch of, 30-something-year-old comic geeks with real lives, and some of us have wives and kids and the rest of it, but we still love it, and so we keep forging ahead, because, damn it, we're never going to be too old for comic books.
And we keep finding new ways to enjoy, I think, our love of comics, either through the Trivia Pursuit game or through the Comic Geek Speak. Cool.
Yeah, so we're going to talk today about some things coming up in the future in the comic world. Peter, why don't you start us off? You wrote down some things that you're looking forward to.
Yes, I did. There's a great energy right now, I think, with both companies, and I think there's a lot of nostalgia. I think the people that grew up reading comics in the 70s and 80s are now writing comics and drawing comics and becoming a part of the comic industry. So we're getting a lot of things that, yeah, they've been around before, but I think there's some really great energy coming out of some of the work that's coming out. I'll talk about DC for a little bit. About DC after the Great Identity Crisis miniseries is really
fantastic. If you haven't read it, read it.
Right. Certainly won't spoil anything here, but there's people who love it, and there's people who hate it. But I think it's really one of the best comic miniseries that's come out in a long, long time. So much so that when that last issue came out, I drove maybe about 60, 70 miles an hour to get to the comic store to pick it up. So I haven't done that in a long time.
Let's put it this way. I'm one of the few and the proud. My wife has started reading comic books, so it makes my life so much easier because I don't have to worry about how much I spend on comics and all that. But she hadn't read any DC books. I got her started on Ultimate Spider-Man and worked from there, and so she read a lot of Marvel books. And so I read the first issue of Identity Crisis, and I thought, oh my God, this is so totally different from most comics. This is like reading a novel or watching an Oscar-winning movie or something. So I handed it to her and I said, you have to read this. I said, I know you don't know anything about DC, but you got to start somewhere. She read that whole series. I mean, we were waited month to month because I made her read it when it first came out, and she loved it every bit as much as we did. And she never read any DC books before. So if you're out there, if you're a Marvel zombie and never read DC, this is a perfect place for you to start because you will love it.
Brad Meltzer, Rags Morales. Brad Meltzer was the writer. Rags Morales was the artist, and it really is a great, great read. But from there, we're really getting a sense that DC is really becoming a unified place to be. The DC universe is growing, and they're really creating this whole epic. Things that start in one series are ending in another, or other writers are picking up on it and using it for their books, and it's really becoming not even so much a shared universe anymore. It really is becoming this whole grand story that I think in this year it's all going to play out. We have the DC Countdown coming up at the end of March, I believe, which will really start to kick things off. It's a $1 book, 80 pages. It's worth it. For $1, come on, when was the last time we bought a $1 book? 1987, 88, something like that?
It's just ridiculous.
So pick that up. I think that's really going to start the future of where DC is heading. What they've got going is some really great great miniseries coming out that really are going to reflect on the villains of the DC universe. It's going to reflect on the space of the DC universe. They're finally bringing back some great characters like Adam Strange and the Mega Men and things like that.
That Adam Strange miniseries
is awesome. It's awesome. It's Andy Diggle, Pasquale Ferry. It's just a great, 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 great book. So with that, there are a couple things that are coming out. We got the long-awaited sequel to Crisis 2, which has been rumored to be happening with Jeff Johns and Phil Jimenez. And if everything that is happening now leads up to that, I don't think we'll get the whole universe-destroying event that we got with Marv Wolfman and George Perez, but I think we're going to get another great action story that's going to try to define the DC universe for the next couple of years. Speaking of like defining characters, we also are going to have Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's All-Star Superman. DC is putting out this All-Star line, which most people are saying it's an Ultimate line, kind of like what Marvel's doing with their Ultimates, which is sort of true, sort of not. They're taking characters and just trying to write a great story, write the best story that they can write with these characters without the constraints of continuity, and basically giving us an approach that anybody can come to. People who've read comics, people who haven't read comics. Grant Morrison has always wanted to write Superman. He's always had many, many, many ideas. And I think what we're going to get is probably one of the best Superman stories. Because frankly, I think the Greg Rucka one, or Brian Azzarello run with Jim Lee hasn't really lived up to. I know there's a lot of us who read it and they're kind of like, it's okay.
I'm waiting for the trade.
Yeah. So you're waiting for the trade, so I don't want to say anything about it. But I think this one Grant Morrison is always known for his wackiness. I could go on and on about Grant Morrison, but I think that All-Star Superman is really going to be something to look forward to.
As long as it's not too wacky.
No, I think it's wacky in the aspect that he really liked everything that was in the Superman universe, like of the Silver Age, like Streaky, the Super Cat, and Bizarro. Frank White was a really big fan of Bizarro, which I read in an article of his, and I think they're just trying. Oh, they want to bring back the whole Superman, Lois Lane, Clark Kent triangle, which we haven't had, again for like over a decade. And I remember listening one time to, not to bring him up again, but listening to Howard Stern, and he said one of the greatest things about Superman was the love story. Was the romance between Lois Lane, Superman, and Clark Kent, the triangle, love triangle. And if you look at any kind of really decent character that came out afterwards, there's always been some aspect of a romance. Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Of course, Superman and Lois Lane until they got married. You can go, who else? Hulk and Betty Ross. Just list a character and you can pretty much always tell who their girlfriend or boyfriend is, or wife or husband or whatever. So I think that aspect, bringing that back in, might be fun because we haven't had that for a long, long, long time.
Now, let me get something straight here. The All-Star books, both All-Star Superman and Batman,
right? The
writers don't have to tell these stories in current continuity. The stories will be in continuity, but they could exist at any time along the history of Superman. So Morrison could just take a Superman story and plunk it in like it was some Silver Age story from the 60s or something.
Exactly.
And so it's not necessarily going to tie in with what's happening in the other Superman books, but it's not an ultimate. It's not an Elseworlds kind of thing.
They're not restarting it. They're not gonna. It's not going to be like a shared universe, where like the Ultimates have now met the Ultimate X-Men. I don't think you'll get All-Star Superman meeting All-Star Batman. Maybe they'll do that later, but for the most part, they're really just trying to take. Basically, look at Mark Millar's like Wolverine right now, where he's doing 12 issues of that. Or Mark Millar's Spider-Man Marvel Knights, where he did 12 issues of that. Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb on Batman, where they did the Hush storyline. They're trying to do like definitive stories. So what DC basically says, well, let's do the same thing with only the top-notch artists and writers, and really just tell a great story. Without like I said, without having to worry about where's Lois Lane at this point, or Jimmy Olsen, or Perry White, things like that. So. The last thing I'll mention before we move on to something else is Defenders. I've read a couple interviews about this. Defenders is coming back to the Marvel Universe with the creative team of the old Justice League International. Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis, and Kevin McGuire. Oh, God help the Marvel Universe. It's going to be, I hope it's going to be great. If you've never read the Justice League International, they were in, it was just Justice League when it came out in like 87 or so. And it really took comics by storm. When everybody was trying to be like Frank Miller's Dark Knight Return or Alan Moore's Watchmen, Keith Giffen and DeMatteis and McGuire and Andy Helfer, they came out and said, we're going to make comics fun again. And they created what I thought was one of the funniest books in the 80s. And they certainly are bringing that magic back with formerly known as Justice League, and I can't believe it's the Justice League. I think that's what it's called in JLA Classified right now. And they're also now going to be they're going over to the Marvel Universe, and they're going to create all kinds of havoc with Defenders. Not quite sure when that's coming out, but I think if you enjoy some humor in your books and a skewed slant at Doctor Strange and Hulk, Silver Surfer, I think you'll enjoy that book.
I read the last Marvel Defender series that was drawn by Mr. Eric Larson.
Written by Kurt Busiek, yeah.
Yeah, it was not the best thing I ever read. I like some of those characters, and as much as I'm kind of ashamed to admit it, Eric Larson's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I don't buy Savage Dragon, so I don't read him on any kind of regular basis, but when I was much younger and he was drawing Amazing Spider-Man after McFarlane left,
right,
I did enjoy him a lot at that time. And so every once in a while I kind of am curious about him. But this was some of his worst artwork ever, I think. I think he was totally focused on Savage Dragon, and he was just drawing Defenders when he was on the can, just scribbling in between, eating or whatever he was doing, because it was not good
not
work
enjoyable.
at all. No,
yeah,
but
that's a shame.
you know.
Although
it is what it was.
Didn't Carlos Pacheco pick that up when it became Order?
the Order. He did the covers
Oh, he did the
for
covers,
the Order,
okay.
which was a total tease because I love Carlos Pacheco. He's one of my favorite contemporary artists right now. And I was, you buy the Order. Oh, fantastic, Carlos Pacheco, and you open it up. It's some I don't even remember who did the
I don't know.
inside.
I don't remember.
I don't even know if it was anybody
Oh, that's
recognizable. But whatever. So moving on, a couple things that I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to both All-Star books, Superman and Batman. But I'm looking forward to a couple things from Marvel. Well, first of all, we got the last story arc that Brian Michael Bendis is doing on Daredevil. And let me tell you, it's a sad day. Because if you're a Daredevil fan, I think most people will agree that some of the best Daredevil stories in the last 20 years, 15 years, this Bendis run has been incredible. And artist Alex Maleev on that, and by the way, it is pronounced Maleev, because I met the man and I asked him and he told me it looks like Maleev, but it's Maleev. So we'll just let it go at that.
There you go. So stop fighting.
That's right.
There's one less comic feud going on in the world.
God
right
knows
now.
how to pronounce these people's names. It kills us
Bill
sometimes.
Sienkiewicz and all their. Go ahead.
So it's his last story arc, and hopefully it'll be good. And I just hope that whoever Marvel picks to continue Daredevil, I hope they're worthy of Bendis' fantastic run, because it has been truly, truly excellent.
You almost think if they really want to be brave, they should just stop it for a while. Like, just let his artwork, let his story go, let it sink in, and.
But then we'll have another number one, and damn it, we don't want another number one.
I mean, it's certainly not like the 70s. I remember in the 70s, like Green Lantern and Teen Titans, and there's some other books too, where if they felt that it wasn't selling or something, they just stopped it, and then like a year later started again, continue the numbering with like a new idea or a new approach, and you almost kind of respect that in some way, if you don't want some hack coming on after this great Brian Bendis run, kind of just let it fade for not even just a couple months, 2, 4, 5 months, something like that, and then come on with something else.
Yeah, we'll see.
Who knows?
Who knows what?
It'll be Howard Mackey writing it. Sorry, Howard.
And the other book, it's another Bendis book, I guess, a miniseries, A House of M, which I'll be honest with you, I have been actually avoiding reading anything about it, because for me, all I need to know is Bendis is writing it. It's a big storyline that ties in with the Marvel Universe, and something with Magneto and Scarlet Witch, and after she killed half the Avengers and all that stuff. So that's all I know about it, and I don't want to know anything else. I just know that I'm definitely gonna buy it, and hopefully it'll be good, because Bendis, honestly, the guy has not let me down yet. I discovered him when I was reading the Sam and Twitch series that he did for Image for McFarlane, and I fell in love with him immediately, and then all his Marvel work so far I've liked. I know some people did not like the Avengers thing, but I'll tell you what, the new Avengers so far is very good. Are you reading that, Peter?
I'm collecting it. I haven't started reading it yet.
Well, you should get on that. I just read issue 4, I think, this morning, and very, very good. I just love it.
Cool.
All right, hey, I'm going to pause this here now, and I'm going to go to our weekly Stump the Rios here.
I don't know.
I got 3 more trivia questions for Peter.
Let's see what did I get last time. I got,
you got 2 out of 3
last time.
So, question number 1, a DC question.
Gotcha.
Name the members of the original Newsboy Legion.
Oh, that's evil.
I have real names and their nicknames.
Yeah.
Either or.
Yeah. Boy, Jack Kirby, Newsboy Legion. Who was the other ones? There was a World War II one too. Boy Commandos. All right, so we got Gabby, Brooklyn. Maybe it's. Is it Gabby or Big Words? Or maybe that's another one. Big Words or Big Mouth, something like that. Scrapper? Or was that Boy Commando? See, I'm confusing the two of them. Boy, I think that's all I'm going to get. I can't.
All right. Well, you did a whole hell of a lot better than I would have ever done. We got Anthony Big Boy Rodriguez. We got John Gabby Gabrielli.
Gabby, yeah.
We got Patrick Scrapper McGuire. And Thomas Tommy Tompkins.
Oh, yeah.
So those are the 4. I guess I just read in the DC Encyclopedia at some point they they added 2 guys to the lineup. So this was the original 4.
And the Newsboy Legion eventually showed up in the Cadmus Project. They brought them back as clones. They were adults. They became adults that were in the Cadmus Project, and then they created clones of themselves when they were younger. And they were part of. They hung around the Guardian a lot, the Golden Age Guardian with the gold shield. He was kind of like a Captain America type character, but cool.
The only time I ever read about the Newsboy Legion was in the Walt Simonson Orion run that he did in like 2001 or something, and they made some appearances in there. That was the first time I had ever encountered them. All right, question number 2, another DC question. Name the secret identities of all 6 Starmen.
All right, so we got Ted Knight, his 2 sons, Jack and David. Starman, right? You said Starman?
Starman.
Right. Okay. Prince Gavin. There's a Michael. It's an alien, so it's either Michael or Mikkel or something like that. And, Will Payton. Yeah, that should be it.
All right. Now, I brought in the room with me the...
if you're gonna, what are you going to say? You're going to say Batman, Bruce Wayne, he was one too?
No, apparently the second Starman is Charles McNider.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if that's Golden Age or current continuity, but something where he took over for a little bit. But then David, in the Starman series by James Robinson, David Knight, the elder son of Ted Knight, went back. I forget if he went back in time or he was granted, like, after he died, like a year. I forget exactly how it went, and I think he took it over from Charles McNider. Charles McNider is the Golden Age Dr. Midnight.
Right.
Which, the reason I said about the Batman thing is there was, a friend of ours Shane found a thing that said that Bruce Wayne, somebody hypnotized him so he'd be afraid of bats. So he took on an identity of Starman. And this was like maybe in the 40s or 50s, so I thought maybe James Robinson turned it into a Charles McNider thing instead, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. According to the DC Encyclopedia, that's... Yeah, that's his... Actually, there were 7 because Jack Knight was the final Starman.
Right.
This just listed the 6 before the final.
Ah, okay.
Jack Knight. And then technically, Star Spangled Girl, what the heck's her name? Star
Spangled Kid.
Yeah,
she's now Star Girl.
Yeah, so that's an additional...
Cool. So is that a yes?
That's a yes.
Okay.
You got it. You got him right. And the third and final question. This is a Marvel question, but I didn't make it that difficult. I don't think.
Okay, we'll get it.
What Marvel villain's real name is Morris Bench? Also goes by Maury. Maury Bench.
Maury Bench. Could you tell me who he would fight?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Well, that doesn't help. Maury
Kevin would know.
Kevin would know. We got a friend, Kevin Moore, who's definitely a Spider-Man nut. Maury Bench. Nope, that's stumped. That one.
Hydro Man.
Hydro Man. Well, who can remember that?
Yeah, I didn't know it. I looked at my old Marvel Universe Deluxe Master Edition and the 3-ring binder. And I dug that out.
That's a good one. Cool. So is that another 2 out of 3? Did I take? No, I got like 1.5, I think. The Newsboy Legion.
We'll give you 1.5 out of 3.
All right.
Which I guess is good for me because I'm finding questions you can't answer.
Yeah.
But you still know if you know any of the Newsboy Legion, you're a geek. It's official.
Thank God for those Who's magazines in the 80s.
So what else we got? We got some movies coming out. We should probably talk about.
Yeah. What are you excited about?
Well, first, we only have about a month, and we got Sin City. And I think Sin City has the potential to be the best comic book movie ever.
It's got star power, definitely.
Star power, and first of all, Robert Rodriguez's justice that he's doing to the Sin City storyline. I mean, he got Frank Miller, and he said, "Look, I don't want to adapt this to a screenplay. I just want to translate it. I want to take Sin City, and I want to turn it into a movie. I'm not changing anything." And Frank Miller was intrigued, and so Frank Miller got involved. And then Robert Rodriguez actually decided he wanted Frank Miller to be a co-director. well, Hollywood's got all these stupid unions and these rules, and the Directors Guild or whatever says, no, he can't be a co-director because wasn't involved enough. And Robert Rodriguez says, well, the hell with that. I'm making him my co-director. So the only way he could do that is he had to quit the Directors Guild of America or whatever. So it means he's going to have a hell of a time making more movies in the future because none of the major studios will be able to hire him because they're all part of these unions and they got to go with directors who are members of the guild. So at least for the time being, Robert Rodriguez is out of the guild, but Frank Miller is on the movie as a co-director.
Certainly shows his commitment to making the movie what it should be.
Oh, absolutely.
Without producers changing it. Yeah,
he must be serious about it if he's willing to go that far. And if you've seen the trailer, I mean, you know, if you've read any Sin City, I mean, there are scenes in the movie that are just panel for panel right from Sin City. The special effects, you swear to God you're looking at a moving comic book.
Right.
We've never seen anything like this. It's the first, and it's got to be awesome.
There's certainly been like movies where they take live action and they put like some kind of animation over it, some kind of I think there was one called like The Walking Life or something like that. But this one, just that shot of Marv in the rain made me go, whoa, that was so right out of the book. And I actually just showed it to my 13-year-old niece, and she went, wow, that looks really good. And she calls me the biggest geek in the world, and she saw that whole trailer and just was like, from him crashing the door and kicking away all the policemen, to him jumping into the police car, to the coloring effects on like the Yellow Man, and it's amazing. It's amazing. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I just saw Constantine. We were talking about this earlier, and it's not a true adaptation to the books, the Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon run. There's some things that they changed here and there, but I gotta say that wasn't a bad movie. Wasn't too bad. Was certainly, I think, and I haven't seen Elektra, but I can already say it's probably better than Elektra. I know that's kind of...
Watch Kevin. Kevin might have a few things to say about that.
But I think for the enjoyment factor, the spooky factor, and some really cool special effects, some interesting casting ideas. They cast a woman as the angel Gabriel, but played her as played the angel as like non-specific. I thought that was kind of interesting. The characterization of Lucifer certainly goes over the edge, but it was different. And I think they got away with a pretty decent movie. It's certainly still, what is it, number 3 movie right now, I think?
Something like that,
yeah.
Coming up, we also have this summer Fantastic Four, which I'm very excited about. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, and this is a movie that they had to wait this long to make. They had to wait till the special effects would enable them to make this movie. And Michael Chiklis as the Thing. I mean, you just don't get any better casting than that. There's nobody on earth, I think, who could play the Thing better than Michael Chiklis. So that's just awesome, and let's just hope that the story is good, because we know the special effects should be good.
Right.
And let's just hope that the story is good. There's
a story, did I read it in Wizard, or I forget where I read it, where Chiklis came up to Avi Arad, I guess, and introduced himself and said, "Hi, I'm Ben Grimm." Basically, tipping himself out. I think it is in the latest Wizard, where he said, I need to be this character, and that was way before the movie was even in production. So that's kind of cool that it stuck. It stuck with Avi. Cool.
And we got one more comic movie this year, Batman Begins. It's finally, hopefully, time to forget Joel Schumacher, to pretend that the man never existed, and get on with
forget
Batman.
The bat nipples.
Oh, bat nipples.
And the bat MasterCard. Oh, yeah.
The colors in that fourth Batman and Robin, that was unbelievable. It was like watching a circus. There was so many lights and colors, and you forget that he's called the Dark Knight. Apparently.
All right, let's just have a moment of silence for Joel Schumacher's Batman. And we're done. Okay. Although I have to say, I'm still not completely sold on this one just yet.
No, the previews make me a little nervous.
Yeah.
But there are some good things about it. I mean, the director is good.
Right.
And Christian Bale, the guy who's playing Batman, is a very, very talented actor.
And committed to 2 more.
That's good. And he's been in more underground independent films than he's been in major Hollywood releases. So the guy definitely is about acting. and so I hope he does a good job. And who else? Liam Neeson is
playing
in it
this
as well.
another mentor type character,
similar to Qui-Gon
Yeah.
from Star Wars. But let's just hope that it's good. It
Right.
can't be worse than the last two Batman movies.
Exactly.
So it's got to be up there with some of the better Batman movies,
Right.
and let's hope it's good.
It's certainly going to have a different flavor than the Tim Burton one. Although
Right.
there were some scenes that kind of still reminded me of that, it should have a different flavor. Some of the things, and they're minor, I guess, but like the costume being armorish again, and
Yeah, just go to spandex.
yeah, you kind of wish there was that great fan film, that Batman Dead End.
Yeah,
What was it called? Something like that, where he fought the Predator and the Alien and all
that
that.
was awesome.
It was awesome, and he had a cloth costume, basically a cloth costume, straight out of the books, and it worked. So we'll see. I mean, it's nitpicky stuff at this point. Right now, I'm just glad that they're making all these movies, basically.
Yeah, well, it's a good time for comic geeks in Hollywood. Well, I think that's about all we have for this episode. Once again, I want to remind everyone, if you think you have a good trivia question that can stump Peter, please email it to us at comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. Again, in the subject line, make sure you put comic trivia so that Peter doesn't read it. And also, you can find out all about our show and get more episodes at our blog, which is comicgeekspeak.blogspot.com.
And if there's anything out there you think we should be reading that's not Marvel or DC, or is Marvel and DC, or Vertigo or whatever, certainly let us know. I would love to read some other stuff, get my ideas, if you want to hear
absolutely.
a review of something else.
Yeah, if you want us to talk about something, or you think we've skipped over something, or you have a different opinion than what we've said, please let us know.
Or if you have a website, if you have your own comics and you want us to take a look at it, I'd love to, bounce around the internet. And there are a lot of people out there who are putting stuff on the internet now, trying to get themselves published or out there and noticed. I'll certainly take a look at that.
Yeah, great.
Cool.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.